Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Jill Lublin Show. And today you are going to be happy you stopped by because we have Nan Arkwright. She is a pediatric occupational therapist and the author of 17, yes, count them, 17 books. Look behind her, there they are. It's amazing. She collaborates with families and supports children and their emotional health. She has over 50 years of working with children's mental issues, mental health issues. And I am so delighted you're here today, Nan. Welcome.
Thank you so much for the very nice introduction, Jill.
You're so
I'm
welcome.
excited to be here to do this with you.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm curious, what inspired you to become an occupational therapist and a writer?
Well, those are two different reasons. One, I used to be a teacher. That was my first career. Then I decided that, well, then I broke my hip. And so when I went to therapy, the physical therapist I was seeing told me about occupational therapy. And she knew I was looking for a second career. And so I immediately liked how she described what occupational therapists do. Sounded very much like a teacher, plus the medical aspect of that, of how you support children. And so I jumped right into the program that was just, 20-minute drive from my house. And I was very fortunate to get into the program, and then I got right into the schools, and then I moved into my own private practice. So what I saw with the children I was working with is so many of the same things were happening, the challenges, which are the books that I've got in my background. Those are the things that are really the kids were struggling with. And I had always thought, boy, I wish that someone would like come and observe me and do a little almost a documentary on like what's it like to do this job, and what's it like to be the child, and what's it like to be the parent. And then I got a little inspiration from God that said, well, and how about you?
Mm.
So it ended up being me. So I started doing it, and I started first with the book down in the bottom right corner, Mission Control, A Big Feelings Adventure. Had a great time with the illustrator of that book, creating that book, and loved it. And then just moved on from there. And so there's a series, because there like Seymour series there that's at top left, all those kinds of challenges that kids are having, taking responsibility and arguing about, I'm not out on the playground, and not stopping when someone asks them to stop, and just a lot of challenges like that. And then those Seymour books are try to help parents or whoever's supporting the child to learn how to respond to a child who's having big emotions and are not sure how to handle it. So I'm trying to model for the adults working with the child, but also modeling for other kids who have the ability to reach out and support the kids who are struggling, and help understand, like, oh, they just need a little help. And so I'm trying to build some pro-social behaviors with the kids as well.
Oh, I love that. And, I know these are tougher times on children.
Yeah.
And, obviously, you just indicated that you have lots of different books and of course, your own treatments that are oriented toward different problems, like some of the ones you mentioned. But
Mhm.
I'm curious, Nan, why do you think now is such a problem more than ever for kids today?
Well, a lot of it has to do with the pandemic. Not that these things weren't, challenging for the kids in the first place,
Yeah.
but they really got highlighted. And so much stress on the part of the
Mm.
parents to work from home and support their child. And the things that families went through in the pandemic was really asking too much. And that's kind of the theme of that first book, is the boy feeling like this is just too much. And it was a lot for us to handle. And so I think that people are still in recovery from that.
Yeah.
And the workload is the stressful. I've got to keep my
Mm.
job. What if I lose my job?
Yeah.
All of that's going on for families, and they are just busy. They're just worked to the bone from morning to night trying to support kids, and earn a living to support kids, but also to support kids. when they're home, and knowing what to do. And it's really hard. And I think also there are so many options out there for parents, so many people espousing, do this with your child, do this with your child, often kind of contradictory also. And
Yeah.
so when families hear all this information, they let me know that, oh, I read this book about this, or I heard this speaker, or I follow this person on Instagram, things like that. And it's really hard for them to know what's going to be the most helpful thing for my family. How can I use that information that I'm gathering and hearing about, filter it down to what's going to be helpful for my child? So it's a confusing, big world. So much families feel that they want their kids in sports, they want them to have a well-rounded education outside of the classroom, and that keeps them busy. And you've got a couple of kids, maybe more, it keeps families running around, taking them to all these activities, and it's just a lot to fit into a day. And I
Yes.
think also
Yeah.
kids are not getting enough sleep. That's
Yeah.
kind of number one thing, is that without sleep, it is really hard to manage your emotions. And
Mm.
for adults also. And they're not getting a lot of sleep either because their kids aren't getting a lot of sleep. And so it's hard also for them to manage their emotions or to know how.
Right. And it's this revolving like hamster wheel a bit, right?
Mhm.
It's kind of
Yeah,
one thing leads to another, and it's not easy to solve it.
they're all doing their very best. And
Yes.
it's
Well,
just
you're the
really hard.
solution. You're the
Well, I do
solution.
try to help sort of prioritize what to do and how to respond. And you know, they really do, families really take to heart the the support.
I love that. And I know that, you're in a way on both sides, because of course the child of the parent and the parent with the child. And I know
Mhm.
that, the parents can also feel so stressed and anxious and all of the
Mhm.
things, even beyond what their children are feeling. What are three tips that you would say any parent can do when they're feeling all these plethora of emotions? How do they
Yeah.
manage themselves?
Well, it is hard for families to set us. There's a couple of things. First, everything comes from the top down. So if the adults in the family are regulated themselves, they feel in control of their emotions. They feel well resourced because they've had sleep, they've eaten, they've gotten their
Yeah.
exercise, whatever it is that they need to do. They feel like they don't have a deadline and hanging over their head immediately, all those things that are hard in a day, then they are more available to help their child. If
Yeah.
something does, if the child doesn't want to stop doing something or doesn't want to start doing something or doesn't like it if they hear no, all those kinds of things, then adults can say, oh, I have tools. I can take some deep breaths, or I can say, you know what? I'm going to go to the bathroom for a minute, or I'm going to go get a drink of water. I'm going to take a quick walk around the block. When I come back, I'm going to be ready to help you with this. Just taking space themselves
Yeah.
and sort of resetting. And the other thing I think is really important is for families to think about, how can I set aside even as little as 10 or 15 minutes a day to just have with my child,
Mm.
and let the child do the things, say, would you play this with me? Yes, I'd love to do this with you. Just that special time that they know it's dedicated just to them, phones off, all those kind of distractions, no siblings in the room. I'm spending time with you doing this. And the families who do that say it really, really makes a difference
Oh,
because there's a
yeah.
connection. And that makes all the difference, is if families are, if kids feel connected to their parents, they're going to be much more willing to do the things that their parents are asking them to do. So that's the main reason for that, is a connection. And there's a
Mm.
saying that a lot of families know, I think, is connection before correction, just
Mm.
meaning they will respond so much more readily and easily if there's a connection.
Oh, those are such good tips and very practical and easily doable. So thank you, Nan, for that.
Well, I only gave you two. So the third one
Oh,
is,
oh, oh.
there's all these resources on my website. And I've got free resources for uh, adults who are trying to
Yeah.
support the children, free little activities that are fun and engaging for the kids related to each book, and then videos for each book. So one is just me talking about the book, and one of the videos for each book is I've interviewed another professional or a parent or somebody who it seems like that area of specialty is something that's going to be relevant to the book that I've written. And we talk about the book. So if families are looking for how can I help my child? Oh, yes, my child doesn't stop either. Then go to my website and then just look at the videos, look at the free resources, and there's so much material right there to help families.
I love that, because that's exactly what I was going to ask you
Oh,
is how do people find you? So will you just say the free gift out loud? We'll also have it in the show notes for all of you, but go ahead and let us know, how can people get in touch with you?
so to access all of that information, you can go to my website, which is www.ahopskipandajumpahead.com. And
Perfect.
if you look under my name also, Nan Arkwright, it's probably pretty easy to find as well, occupational therapist. But a hop, skip, and a jump ahead.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Nan. You, as always, are full of great information, and we appreciate you so much for showing up today and helping our parents and the children all be better.
Thank you. You got to the meat of it very well, Jill. So thank you for helping me do that.
You're so welcome. And
I
thank
enjoyed
you,
it.
everybody. Oh, thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for stopping by. I know this was valuable for you and filled with great information. Hey, go check out JillLublin.com. We'll look forward to helping you in every way we can. And in the meanwhile, keep being kind, everyone. Take
Yeah.
good care.